influence how women are changing the way America works. David Zwerdlik is a CNN political commentator and the assistant editor of The Washington Post. Lynn Sweet is the Washington bureau chief of the Chicago Sun-Times, and Manu Raju is a CNN senior political reporter. So great to see all of you all on a beautiful Sunday in D.C. But I want to turn to you, sir, with your reporting between the most powerful Republican in Congress and the Republican at the top of the ticket here. It was an almost moment.
There was an almost moment, and it was kind of almost a flip-flop for Paul Ryan. Remember last month when he told Republicans on a private conference call that he would no longer defend Donald Trump, he would not campaign with Donald Trump in the aftermath of that Access Hollywood video.
Yeah.
Well, it turned out that he almost did campaign with Donald Trump today in Wisconsin. Paul Ryan actually offered to appear at a campaign stop with Donald Trump. Trump said they canceled their plans, they changed their schedule, so that actually didn't work out. And yesterday, Paul Ryan also appeared on stage with Mike Pence, Trump's running mate, as they try to campaign for Ron Johnson, the Wisconsin senator, who's in a very, very tight race, increasingly tight, surprisingly tight race. But it really goes to the point that a couple things. Paul Ryan is under a lot of pressure from Trump supporters, people who want him to do more, even within his own conference, and he recognizes that. And also, there is a real belief that this is tightening, this race is tightening, and that Republicans need to come home, as Paul Ryan said, that they could win this race. And there are some Republicans who are concerned if they don't have that message, that they could end up getting blamed if they don't do more to help the top of the ticket. So a lot of the dynamics are playing out just because the polls are tightening right now.
But you don't see it as the Trump campaign throwing shade on the speaker?
I don't see that. I have no evidence of that right now. It seems to me it's more of an effort by Paul Ryan to mend fences, because he knows that his position to not defend or campaign with Donald Trump got a lot of blowback.
And perhaps a piece of that, and I want to bring this up to all of you, Speaker Ryan wrote the CNN op-ed, and I just want to quote part of it where he does mention Donald Trump by name. He says, so go to, this is the URL, better.gop, and take a look at what a unified Republican government can get you, and then vote Republican. Donald Trump, our Senate candidates, and our House candidates, so we can start turning things around. If Republicans do not turn out, if we sit this one out, we will open the door not just to Hillary Clinton, but also a Democratic Congress eager to give her a blank check. So he's saying sort of what we've been hearing, Jay, from Trump as far as you elect her, years of investigation, drama, and scandal.
I mean, and that is the case that certainly Republicans have made all along, is that she is the worser of the two options, right? And if you look at Supreme Court nominations and if you look at policy and all these things, but it is still really striking. And as you go into the end of this, the final stretch of this campaign, the last 48, 52 hours, that you see Hillary Clinton campaigning. If you look at all the beginning of her rallies, she has this like laundry list of people who are there supporting her, from the Senate candidates, to the gubernatorial candidates, to the House candidates, to the mayor, to like the school board people. And she just keeps going on and on and on. And all these people are there to get elected. And you go to the Trump rallies and it's like, and as Trump yesterday said, it's just me and my wife Melania and my son Eric, and it's so striking that it's such a non-traditional campaign that Trump is running, in part because he's running as an outsider, as someone who has run against the establishment of Washington as a whole, Republican or Democrat. And that the really big question there is what effect that has on the down ballot, and whether his coattails are big enough or whether he's a detriment to those candidates.
Why Speaker Ryan is saying vote Republican, vote Republican, vote Republican. On the blue wall, right, these blue states, let me just turn to you and ask you, the fact that, Jeff Zeleny said you have, the President of the United States twice in Michigan, no, it was David Chalian, and you have Bill Clinton in Michigan. I mean, this should be traditionally a lock for her. Why, then? Do you see this as nerves among the Clinton campaign?
No, I don't see this as nerves. And tomorrow you're going to have both Clinton and Donald Trump in Grand Rapids, which is an interesting place, the home of the Gerald Ford Museum, not library, museum. It's also home to what I call the Amway vote, a very conservative slice of Michigan. But I think this whole tumble in the polls is directly due to the FBI. Director Comey and his reopening the email discussion.
Also add to that, think of all the independents in New Hampshire. There is the event in New Hampshire as well, trying to sway, and I think the FBI affected.
Right. So I think this collapse. She's still in the lead, but this new negative campaigning that's going to the end, not the aspirational end that the Clinton campaign wanted. I don't think that's anything but the FBI revelation. And as a result of that, it reopened Michigan. Now, I would have thought that the vote there could have been more solid because the issues are playing to her, especially with Flint on the table, with the Republican governor in Michigan.
Right.
But it isn't. It was just turns out to be more fragile than anyone had thought.
It's more fragile, and it is electoral college vote rich, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we talk so much about Ohio having 18 electoral votes. Michigan has 16, so you can't afford, if you're the Democrats,
Yeah.
to have that, so the bottom fall out in the state that you thought you had in your.
What about Minnesota? What is Trump doing there? It's been since 1972. Let me say that again, that it's gone Democrat.
Yeah, I think I was just looking at that last poll of polls that you showed, Brooke, and I think it was 8 or 9 points in favor of Secretary Clinton.
11th hour, last ditch. I mean, we
Yeah.
think of, Romney was in Pennsylvania and that didn't work for him. There's always sort of
Right. It's hard to see why the Trump campaign they must think they know something, but it is hard to see why they think they have a shot at Minnesota with 3 days left.
And it seems that to be a lot of that is just a message more than actual reality that they can win it, to tell their voters and tell their supporters we're on offense, we're expanding the map, we're not shrinking, we're actually fighting in these blue states. But the real one thing I want to point out, the NBC Wall Street Journal poll today had a real concerning number for the Trump supporters. White college educated voters supporting Hillary Clinton more than Donald Trump. Those are key, particularly for Republicans, senators, people in key down ticket races. They need those voters to come out to the polls and support them, also for the top of the ticket as well. So that's a national poll. We'll see how that plays in the battleground state, but that's certainly a concerning number.
So that's a quick point. As long as Trump is losing in a heavy way, the Hispanic vote and white college-educated voters, it's hard to see his path to 270.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a big
Hispanic vote is
big
huge, and I think that may be one of the biggest. Actually, let me hit pause. I want to keep you all around. I have more to get to, and I'm glad you mentioned messaging, by the way, because I do think that's a big part of this. Do not forget, Tuesday, kind of a big deal, Election Day, right? We've been leading up to the Super Bowl of politics, Tuesday, election night in America. Here at CNN, we will have every race, every result for you.